Today we're going to be inspired by Roy Lichtenstein to create a landscape. The first thing we always do on our paper is write our name and our class code. Make sure you write that in pencil, so if you mess up, you can always erase it and use the other side. Your name and class code. We're going to turn that over and start on this side. Roy Lichtenstein used a lot of patterns and designs in his artwork, and we're going to use his ideas, but before we can use his ideas, we need to create a landscape. I would encourage you to use rolling hills, tall mountains. Remember that this artwork is going to be more abstract or cartoon-like than realistic. So it's okay to have curvy mountains. I like to use pencil first and draw lightly to make sure that I get everything where I want it to be, and then I'll go over it with marker later. So I have some hills and some mountains all mixed in. I can also add something like a sun up here, not a corner sun because the sun's not in the corner of the sky, but if you want to add a sun out here in the center of the sky, you can. And then use some colorful markers today and some pattern ideas to create art like Roy Lichtenstein. At your table you'll have a pattern example page like this one. This page is front and back, and it's going to have a ton of design ideas that you can use to fill in the space of your landscape. If you don't like any of these ideas, or if you have an idea that you like better than these, please feel free to use them. But use any of the colors to create your landscape. Now I want you to think about what colors kind of make sense to our viewer. So if I use blue down here in the bottom, my viewer might think that this is what? Probably water. If I use orange here, my viewer might be a little bit confused. So I want you to think about colors that you would see on land and colors you would see in the sky. So but we don't have to stick to those necessarily. If you want to use pink somewhere, that's fine. But try to think about colors that you might see in the sky versus land. I'm going to start with purple, and I might make this mountain purple. But remember, I'm choosing something, or I'm coming up with a pattern idea in my mind, and I'm using that repeatedly until it fills the whole space. So I'm going to use this kind of like a curved design. Since we're using marker to make this happen, it might be a great idea for you to get a tester page, something that you can test your ideas on before you make them permanent on paper. So fill all the white space using the same pattern, and then when you're finished with that one, come up with a different pattern. So I might use a green this time, and maybe I'll use this scaly pattern. You're going to need to have some patience today because these patterns can take a long time to fill up the space. You want to be consistent with your pattern. I don't want to start making large, big swoop scales now because then my viewer will be confused and my artwork will look like I rushed through it. If you're getting tired of making these scales and you feel like you might start making them messy, just take a break from them. Put this away and grab something else for a little bit. The key is consistency in making things look the same throughout the entire space. We won't finish this today, so next week we'll go back and we'll outline everything with black.